right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I'm here with C Doc. How's it going, sir?
Going well. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Thanks for asking. Before we get started, I want everybody to subscribe, like the channel, tell your friends all that cool YouTube stuff you guys got to do. And before we actually officially get started, I hear it's a 10th anniversary of something. Do you want to discuss what the 10th anniversary is of?
Yeah, so actually, and it's semi-related to one of my records this evening, but I have a group that we haven't really recorded in a while, but I have a group called The Impossibles. It was started by Chuck D of Public Enemy. We were all PE fans, and we were the world's first virtual rap squad. That's what he called us because
Mm,
when we first started collaborating, it was all online on the internet. So eventually we met up and would do shows and things. But our third album, and it's probably our most popular album, and that's, all relative because a lot of people still don't know who we are.
mm,
But our third album is 10 years old this year, and it's going to be re-released, remastered, um, and yeah, all the bells and whistles on Friday. It's
mm,
finally coming to digital. It's called Everything Has Changed, Nothing is Different, and it features some great guest spots, including Chuck D, of course, DMC from Run DMC, and Son of Berserk featuring No Self Control, if you guys remember them, among some others. And yeah, like I said, it's probably our most popular album. Um, Pretty good record if I say so myself. But yeah, turns 10 this year, right around this time. I don't remember exactly when we released it 10 years ago, but
mm,
it was October.
mm.
So I
Okay.
tried to schedule the re-release right around the same time, and it'll be out Friday on digital servers and CDs from spitslamrecords.com. And if you go to Bandcamp, spitslam.bandcamp.com, there are special limited run of 25 cassettes
Mm,
that I'm hoping will ship in November-ish. I don't have the cassettes yet. They're in production.
okay.
But yep. So
Nice.
there's that. Yes.
Okay. And also a label? Do I understand there's a label also?
Yeah, so Spit Slam, the label I'm talking about, is was started by Chuck D in 2018, and he asked me to run it. And so I've been the president of the label for 6 years now, and we have a lot of interesting releases. Um, Chuck has put out solo stuff. He did another record called Enemy Radio
Mm,
back in 2020. DJ Lord, who's with Cypress Hill now,
mm,
he used to be P's DJ. Lord, we put out a couple of his albums. We just put out a new record by Stetsasonic, their
mm,
first in 31 years or whatever it
mm,
was, 30 or 33 years, I think it was. Their first album in 33 years, that was earlier in the year. The B Boys, which is Donald D, for all the old school heads, Donald D and Brother B, 2-3 Break, Rock the House, Cut and Herbie, Girls. It's their first album ever,
mm,
and we put that out a couple weeks ago.
mm,
Um, a group called Black Medine out of Boston, hip hop, very conscious hip hop group. They just put out a new album. I think it's their fourth with us. So, yeah, we do a lot of underground boom bap style hip hop. So if you like old school, that kind of sound, check out Spit Slam Records.
nice. Okay, cool. And now on to you, the most important thing. Can you name the last vinyl record that you bought? I want to throw you a curveball here.
Oh, yeah, um yes, the last vinyl record. I should have grabbed it. See, you should have told me I could have grabbed it because I think it's right there. Do you want me to grab it? Do you have time?
If you can go for it.
Okay, give me 1 sec. Let me
All
grab
right.
it because I'm not mobile anymore.
That was super fast. I love it. Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, I knew where it was.
Okay.
So the most recent record I bought was Solid,
Mm,
Michael Henderson.
mm,
And the reason I got it was shout out to the Juggernauts, Breeze Brewing, because uh, Bree they were on my show. I have a YouTube show every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Channel Zero YouTube channel called It's CDoc again, where we have news, views, and interviews with fellow hip hop heads and legends. So anyway, we had the Juggernauts on a while back, and I don't advocate sample snitching,
mm,
and I don't usually ask about samples, but there was a Juggernaut song that I didn't know what the sample was,
mm,
and Breeze was so kind to tell me it was from this record,
mm,
and I had forgotten about it for a while, and then the other day I had thought of it. I'm like, wow, I never got that Michael Henderson record. So when I was at the record shop a couple Sundays ago, I looked, and here it was.
nice.
So, yep, there you
You,
go.
you passed the curveball test. Okay.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
cool. Now your first vinyl record that you ever bought.
The first one that I remember requesting,
Hmm.
um, and I was looking for it. I have it still. I'm just not sure where it's at.
Mm,
Uh, but I was 3 years old, and it's the soundtrack, the John Williams music soundtrack to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
mm,
And I remember being really struck by that movie at a young age, just fascinated by it. And yeah, I asked my parents for the soundtrack,
mm.
and they bought it for me, and it's over there
Hmm.
in the stacks somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep, the Close
So,
Encounters of the Third Kind soundtrack.
so that would make me believe that there was a record player in the house growing up. Who was the primary vinyl listener? Mom, dad?
Dad, um, Dad was, I mean, we always the radio. There was
Mm,
always the radio in the car, of course. So I was born in 74, and so I had the great fortune of just being steeped in 70s radio.
mm,
But dad actually had two record players,
mm.
and I had uh so evidently I wore out. My mom says you wore out the first one, so dad had to get a new one.
Wow.
So I can remember them. One was in the den and one was in the living room, and
Mm,
I wasn't I wasn't really allowed to touch the one in the living room.
mm,
And it was up, it was sitting up, so I couldn't reach it at that point. But mom said that uh and I kind of remember this at a certain point she would limit me to an hour a day at the
huh.
record player. And I think now thinking back, it's probably because otherwise I would have just sat there and said, "Hey, switch the record for me,"
Right,
because
right.
I couldn't reach it. So yeah, so it was like I got an hour a day at the record player
Mm,
and listening to dad's records. But I did have my own little, they bought me at some point a little portable record player,
mm,
and it was shaped like a ladybug. It had like, the black and red cover,
hmm.
and then you'd open that, and then it had the little turntable, and so I could take that around the house and
Mm.
play whatever little records I had.
Wow.
I don't remember what they were at this point. But I had that for a while, and I'm pretty sure I broke it. And eventually, um, I remember one Christmas they bought me my own stereo, and I had that one. I think, I was I'm trying to remember how old I was. Um, maybe 10 years old, I think.
Okay.
And I had that one, geez, until I went away to college.
Mm,
So that one lasted a while.
mm,
Um, but then dad, uh, uh, we moved around a lot, and eventually he bought a Panasonic set, rack system, and that one sat in the living room, and it had a CD player, so it was the
mm,
only CD player in the house.
hmm.
So when I started buying CDs, I would always use that.
Right.
Um, but the turntable on it was super dope. So
Mm,
when I was still buying records, and I would record them to cassette so I could listen to them in my room or whatever, even though I had a record player, or put them in the Walkman. I would use that turntable because the sound was so good.
Mm,
And up, I think it was maybe 10 years ago, I'm guessing, might have been a little bit less. I looked on Craigslist and found that
mm,
exact Panasonic set. Some guy
mm,
was selling it, and
mm,
he had it since the 80s. And so I went out and bought it because it was still in great shape.
mm.
And so I have that in my living room,
Oh wow,
and it still sounds dope.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
let me ask you this: like you're a well-traveled guy. Do you have a favorite record store? Have you experienced? What's the best record store you've experienced? Where was it?
Okay, well that's two different things. The best, um, because the I would say like the best, the craziest one I've ever been to is Amoeba in Hollywood.
Mm,
I think because there was just so much stuff there. That was a great one.
mm,
LA, I've been to a couple spots in LA. Um, and so they've got some cool spots, but then there's other places I haven't been that next time I get out there, I'd like to go. Um, I've been to Fat Beats in New York when it was still a thing, and
hmm
the upstairs version of it. I never got to the original downstairs version, but I bought some stuff at the upstairs Fat Beats in New York. Um, the place I go, Pittsburgh has a couple of spots. Um, Shout out to my homies at the Attic in Millvale. That's where I go most of the time now.
mm,
I got friends down there, so super great guys. And the Attic has tons and tons of stuff. They get a lot of new stuff, but they have old stuff. And um, I've been shopping there for years. Even before I
okay.
made friends there, I was shopping there.
Mm,
Um, we also have Jerry's Records, which is kind of famous. It's not the same owner anymore. Jerry passed away a few years back.
mm,
But Jerry's was very popular. A lot of the hip hop, your favorite hip hop producers, when they come to Pittsburgh, they go to Jerry's.
mm,
And they used to go back in the day, especially because when Jerry was there, when we're talking about before got in fashion again,
mm,
there was a period in time where you could go get a ton of records at Jerry's for cheap. He was selling
mm,
them for, $2, $3.
mm, mm,
And so Jerry's was a great spot. It's still cool. They price it like everybody else now. But Jerry's son is still around, and he has Jerry's warehouse, and he opens it on the weekends from time to time. So
mm,
if I get the chance to go over there, I go over there,
mm,
and it's just so many records, man. It's amazing how
mm.
many records are in that place, and they're pulling out stuff all the time. Sometimes they post it on Instagram, and I'll be like, "Yo, that I don't know what that is, but I gotta go get it."
I think
I've
I
done
saw a
that.
video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm
So, um, they got a lot of dope stuff, and I've gotten some really cool records from them.
mm. Nice.
Um, yeah. So, but I went record shop. I was in Chicago a couple weekends ago, and I went to one spot downtown. It was kind of cool. I just
Mm.
bought some CDs because I didn't have it. I flew. I'm like, I'm not trying to bring records back in the suitcase because they
Right.
will get destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I try to go when I can, and I know I can get the stuff home.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I love this question. How hard was it for you to narrow down 5 vinyl albums?
Bro, this is the most impossible thing because I can think of five. I can do well, five of these or five of this or so I kept it kind of general, and I'm kicking myself because there's other records over there that I'm like I really should have included that, but whatever.
That's for the part two. That's for the part two video.
Bro, don't leave it to me. It'll be part two, three, four, five, six. I mean, I can come up with all kinds of reasons to have five records.
Right.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see what
see.
happens.
Okay. Okay. And with that being said, see, Doc, this is top 5 vinyl. Can you show me the fifth, your number 5 vinyl that you have in front of you?
All right. Well, I don't know how to rank these, so I'm just gonna kind of randomly go through them.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I know what my number one is.
Okay.
That one's easy.
Okay.
But the other ones I'm going to just kind of like whatever. Um, okay. So for whatever, my number five is Sly and the Family Stones.
Mm,
There's a riot going on.
mm.
And this record, I can remember the first time I heard it, a buddy of mine played it for me, and I was just awestruck by it because I had Stand. I've got Stand over there somewhere. And I knew one of my favorite songs is Hot Fun in the Summertime. So, but I was a casual Sly listener. It was
Mm,
really before I got into Sly. And then I heard this album and I was like, okay, this is really on some other shit, you
mm,
know.
mm,
And so now it's become one of my all-time favorite records. And if I see a copy when I'm out, I grab it.
mm,
I've got three of them.
wow.
Plus, I got the CD over there somewhere.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's an incredible record, and the the artwork. I mean, that cover is ridiculous, bro.
yeah.
It's like what the hell, you know? And
Great
it's
picture. Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool, and I love the fact that the you know that the title track, which is at the end of side A, side one, um, it's there. It's listed. It says there's a riot going on,
Mm,
and then the time is 0 minutes 0 seconds
mm,
because that was the statement or whatever. And I just love that because it's Sly saying something, but it's also really quirky.
mm.
So yeah, shout out to the maestro Sly Stone and his masterwork. There's a riot going on.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was your number five.
Yes.
Let's take a look at your number four.
Okay. So number four, I guess, is going to be, and I have a very selfish reason for this.
Hmm.
Um, it's fairly new. The Legend of Ice-T crime stories.
Okay.
Okay. And so what Ice did was he did this compilation record that features all his great story rhymes. Okay. So that's how I'm living. The Tower, Midnight, 6 in the morning. Peel the Caps Back, Drama, Soul and Ice, Pain, whatever. And then also he had done this trilogy of new songs that kind of tell this story. And Too Old for the Dumb Shit, Feds in My Rear View, The Hanging. Plus, there's a couple of, I think, like rare or unreleased joints on here too,
Mm,
right? So, put out by Rough Nation Entertainment, Syndicate Records, Rhyme
mm,
Syndicate Records. Shout out to Chris Schwartz of Rough Nation, Rough House. And what's dope about this is it's a 3 record set,
mm,
right? So it's got the right that in there, okay, and then you open this joint up. It's the tri gatefold chumpy,
mm. Wow.
right?
Okay.
And it's got extensive liner notes over here,
Hmm.
and Ice goes through and breaks down track by track, all the songs on here. Shout out to Soren Baker who did the interview with Ice-T.
Mm,
Then it's got the credits over here, right, and the artwork, and this. Oh, and you got to check out the records themselves.
that's pretty. I
Got
like that.
the blood splatter red wax, right?
Okay.
So why I picked this record is because I did the layout. I didn't do
Mm,
the artwork itself, but I did the entire layout for it
mm,
and put it together. And I also recommended because they were going to go with different color vinyl.
hmm.
I recommended this because I saw it and I thought, wow, that would be perfect for this. And then when the word came back, it was like, yeah, Ice wants
Yeah.
the blood splatter version. So that was exciting stuff.
You made the right choice.
Yeah. So this was I've been an Ice-T fan ever since I heard I'm Your Pusher on Yo
Mm-hmm.
MTV Raps back in 1988. And to be a part of this release, to have a hand in bringing it to fruition and making it happen was really special and important to me, even though I just did the layout and recommended the wax or whatever. But still, a really special record for me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's an Ice T epic 3 record set, and my name's in there. So
Yeah,
that's dope. You
that's
know,
that's very dope. That's
yeah.
very dope.
So
So before I ask you about your number three, have you seen any of your top five live before?
okay. So let's see. What did I think? I have I have not seen Sly.
Okay.
I've seen Ice,
Okay. Don't tell
and
us the rest. Don't tell us until we
yep.
get there.
Um, I'm trying to think. So the next one I have seen live.
Okay.
You'll understand. And my number one I've seen live, but then the number two, no.
Okay.
But there's something special about that one too.
Huh.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So we've seen your five and your four.
Mhm.
Let's take a look at your number three.
Okay, so number three is another group that I've seen live, and
Hmm.
have had the honor of working with for um 20 some years now.
Hmm.
Um the record is Music in Our Message by Public Enemy.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not my favorite Public Enemy record. That would be Fear of a Black Planet.
Hmm.
But I do love it. It was an important record for me when it came out because it came out at a time that I needed it.
Hmm.
And I had this just crazy obsession with this record. Um, so just everything about it is just amazing to me. It's like the last epic Public Enemy record. I think it's still their longest runtime wise. It's
Hmm.
like 70 some minutes. But the packaging on it is crazy again. Right. So there's the records. They got all the members on it. Um, you open it up, there's Chuck at the pyramids,
Hmm.
you know, it's the from the photo shoot that was the Give It Up cover. I think that actually is the same pic,
Hmm.
right? And they have all this cool comic book art plus the cover itself.
Hmm.
I have another sealed copy of it,
Hmm.
and then I have the clean version, which was a
Hmm.
promo,
Okay.
and it is actually a 4 record set because it includes the instrumentals.
Hmm. Okay.
So I managed to get a hold of this, and yeah, and I've got I don't know how many CDs. I have different configurations of CDs from different territories.
Hmm.
I have it on cassette.
Hmm.
So it was a really important record for me when it dropped that time in my life, and yeah, it's one of my favorites. And it's got a couple of my favorite PE joints on it.
Hmm.
So uh, I've always been a big fan. They were the first rap group that I went really all in on.
Hmm.
When I got into hip hop, it was all consuming because that's all I wanted to listen to. But PE really was just like, uh, I'm down with these guys for whatever.
Right.
And and like I said, I've been very fortunate to produce records for them. I've done most of their music videos for the last 20 some years.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I've they're family to me now, and
Hmm.
it's super cool. I love those guys, and I love the music they do, and yeah. Oh, and the other thing that's important about this record
Hmm.
is when they returned to Def Jam, they left Def Jam after in '99,
Okay.
and then they went independent for a number of years, and they returned to Def Jam in 2020 for a record that I got to work on and supervise called "What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down."
Hmm.
And so it was my first time working with a major label, and it was special that it was Def Jam.
Hmm.
And when I did the layout, so the cover art by Darren Holtum, shout out to Darren. I I sold Chuck on the idea of this cover art because I said, think of it as a spiritual successor to Music in Our Message.
Mm.
And he was like, okay, I got it. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I did this layout too, so not only did I produce records on here, I did all the art and layout.
Mm.
And I kept the music in our message. I kept all that in mind. The design, and I took a lot of cues from it. So, there's lyric
Mm.
sheet and,
Mm-hmm.
credits and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, so music is a very special record and still influences me to this day.
Mm. Nice. Nice. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was your number three.
Yes.
Let's take a look at your number two.
So number two is not one record per se, but it's a little box set.
Okay.
And it's a box set from the 45 King.
Mm.
Uh Rest in peace, Mark. Um, and he would sell these on his website, and they have these. He'd send out these boxes, and it'd have, yeah, these 45s. They would have, I think they're single sided 45s with
Mm.
different beats and stuff on them.
Mm.
So really dope little collection. And I told him, I said, because I got to know Mark, who was definitely one of my favorite producers. Um, obviously he worked with Queen Latifah and the Flavor Unit, and among others, produced so many records. The 900 number,
Mm.
for Ed Lover Dance, MTV Raps and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I Mark's Mark and Chill Rob G did a record in 1989 called Ride the Rhythm, which is one of my all-time favorite rap records.
Mm.
And I got to do produce an album for Chill Rob G because of that record.
Mm.
And because I was such a fan of it. And Chuck put me in touch with Rob, and I sent Rob beats, and Rob said, yeah, let's do it. And at one point I said, hey, any chance of like doing a little Flavor Unit reunion? And he said, well, let me see who I can get a hold of. So we did a record with It's Chill Rob, Double J, rest in peace also, and Lakim Shabazz.
Mm.
And I said, do you think we could get Mark to do like, talk on the record and introduce you guys before you start rhyming? He said, I'll ask him. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call
Mm.
from 45 King himself.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so in the last year of his life or so, I would just get these occasional phone calls and just talk beats and music and FaceTime with Mark, the 45 King, and I ask
Mm.
him questions. And he was just a super cool dude. And he heard one of the songs, not the song he was on, because he was like, yeah, it's all right. He was cool like that. Um, but there was another record that Rob and I did called Bang that's on that album, and he called me up and was like so excited about that record. He goes, the
Mm.
way you flipped it, because he knew what I sampled, and he's like, the way you flipped it. And he goes, oh, I'm like, bro, and he was like so excited about it, and I was just like, dude, I grew up on your music, and
Right.
you're excited about my beat.
Right.
It
Right.
just made my life right there. It was
Yeah.
one of
That's
the just
awesome.
things that was so important for me. So I told Mark, I'm like, hey, I want to buy one of your boxes. And he goes, okay, give me your address. I was like, cool. And so he goes, yeah, just, do it through the PayPal so it's in there in the system and then it goes through. I'm like, okay, cool. And I bought it. He sent me this. Not only did he send me the records, but he sent me t-shirts,
Mm.
lollipops, all kinds of stuff. And then he refunded me the whole thing. And I was
Wow.
like, bro, you didn't have to do that.
Mm.
He's like, nah, come on, man. He's like, he
Mm.
was the best. I miss that guy.
Mm.
I miss that guy a lot. So he was
Mm.
super cool. I wish I would have gotten to know him longer.
Right.
And
Right.
I never got to, we never got to meet. He passed away before I could ever get out there.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, he was super cool. Shout out 45 King.
Mm. Okay, cool. Good story. Good story. All right.
Yeah.
And for the grand finale, who do
The
we have
grand
for number
finale.
one?
So yeah, my number one, and it's a little selfish. That's okay. And I see a theme going on here, but so and it also ties in, which it's not a group that I've seen live because I was in the group, so I, was there for the live shows.
Right, right.
But my group, The Impossibles, when we did our album, Everything's Changed, Nothing is Different 10 years ago, I found a guy out of Texas that would do lathe cuts,
Mm,
and he would do them on demand. All you would do is send him the audio, and then when somebody would order the record, he would cut them and cut the album and then mail it out for you and stuff like that. Um, and it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't crazy expensive either.
mm,
And so a couple people I know actually have that album on vinyl. But I ordered one for myself, which I no longer have because I gave it to a friend. But unexpectedly, um, John is the guy's name that used to do it. He doesn't do it anymore. Sent me a 7-inch with a picture of my son,
wow.
and it's the only one of its kind.
Wow.
And it has our song, the Get Up. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a single-sided picture disc, one of a kind
Hmm.
of the Get Up with my son Davy J back many years ago. He doesn't look like this anymore because he's 13 now.
Right, right.
But this was from my Instagram account. And he
Hmm.
didn't even tell me he was going to do it. He just sent it along, and it was such an amazing surprise.
Wow.
Because he said, and he told me, he's like, I liked your record. I really liked your record. And so this is probably the most special record I have.
Understandably.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah. So that's my number one.
Wow.
Impossibles, the Get Up, with Davy J on
Oh,
the
you're trying to
cover.
make everybody watching this cry, man. That's freaking
I
awesome.
know. So super cool. So this one was easy. Like after I thought about it, when you asked me to come on, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I know what number one is. The rest of them, I was just like, oh, okay. It was a
Yeah.
struggle, bro. It was a
Mm,
struggle
yeah.
for real. But yeah, there you go.
Nice. Well, C Doc, I want to appreciate you for joining me and sharing your time with me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Anytime, man. I'd love to talk records and music and like I said, I do this every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Channel Zero YouTube channel. It's CDoc again. We have I forget how many episodes up. We just had 150 not too long ago, so we're up over that.
Congratulations. Okay.
We've been doing it for a while, but a lot of great interviews. We just had Raheem from the Furious Five
Mm,
last night, and unfortunately, I missed that
hmm,
episode because I took my wife to see Stevie Wonder, but I'm not
mhm,
mad at
mhm.
that. So yeah, go check us out, and we go live every Tuesday. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of great combos with
Nice.
hip hop cats. So
All right, cool. Thanks so much, man. We'll talk soon.
all right, sounds good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you,
Peace.
sir.